So almost 2 weeks ago, we talked about choosing your EDC carry gun, handgun, and holster, belts, things like that. And we were talking about in terms of value and priorities, not necessarily what is the absolute best you can get or what's the absolute cheapest, but what do you need and what is the value proposition? Now we're moving on to your secondary firearm, and yes, this is reversed in terms of your primary and secondary firearms, but the one you should buy second, which is the rifle. Now, if you want to do this as a shotgun, power to you. I am not a shotgun guy. I am really, my knowledge level and experience with them is much more limited than I would like, and I'm just not qualified to speak on that topic. So we're going to go rifle. Welcome back to Bullets and Brass, folks. I'm Remy, and hopefully you are subscribed because YouTube has been doing its best to absolutely muzzle my channel, any channel that doesn't fit their agenda. It is absolutely brutal lately. Channels that are not even remotely gun related or right wing really, absolutely getting hammered just because they don't agree with what YouTube wants to promote. And they're not even just saying, well, hey, you're not the hot topic. They're literally going, we don't care that this is a popular video for your audience. We're not going to show it to them. Yeah, so we need all the help we can get. You can find me over on Rumble. I will be uploading again on there. Patreon doesn't hurt. That really goes a long way, guys. Right now, I've only got one. Thank you, C. But you know, if you want this channel to grow, if you want me to be able to do other giveaways, if you want me to be able to do cool stuff, that's going to have to be Patreon because I can't afford it. My current budget does not run to cool toys. So let's get on with it. When you're prioritizing your gear, cost has to come into it, but it can't be the overriding thought. It needs to be part of the equation, but you have to have gear that works, that is reliable, that you can count on. You can have as much other stuff as you want. Your initial gear, your priority number one package, needs to be 100%, which means you can't go stupid cheap. We did 1K as a good, you could get under that for the handgun, or a little over that even. This is going to be well over that. We're in the $1,800 to $2,000 range by the time you're done. So just keep that in mind. This is not a how cheap can I do an AR. This is what do I really need for an AR I'm trusting my life to. Spoiler alert, it is an AR. We are going in AR. I'm not doing any of the alternative systems. I am not familiar with them enough to go, yeah, this one's great. This one's not. This is why. I'm an AR guy. Kind of like the AK guy, but cooler. I wish. Sorry, Brandon, don't kill me. I'm not going to pick it out for you, but I do have some criteria. First, not cheap junk. So think Smith & Wesson, Springfield Armory. At the low end, those are your two kind of budget options. Even SIG, Black Rain, Bravo Company, Spikes, Daniel Defense. In terms of value for money, these are really good. We're not talking about Delton, Radical Firearms, Palmetto State Armory, anything in that category. I'm not saying they can't be good. I'm not even saying they can't be 100% reliable. Just saying that if you pick a random rifle from the box, take it out and go try to use it like this, your odds of having a problem are higher. For later builds, for having fun, go for it. Lots of good options. So things I'm specifically looking for. A quality M-LOK handguard. This is going to be free float. This is going to be relatively slim, and it's going to be M-LOK, not key mod, not all Picatinny, M-LOK. I don't even care if most of the top rail has Picatinny on it. I would actually prefer if it doesn't and it only has some at the end, maybe a little bit at the receiver end. It's not necessary. You don't need it. Oh, sorry, the handguard should also go most of the way down the barrel. I don't want a 16-inch barrel with a 8-inch handguard. Get the 12-inch, the 14-inch handguard. You want to be able to reach out there, and you also need room to get the light out there. So more room is better. It doesn't need to be right to the end. The 12-inch would be fine. 14 inches fine. Yeah, it is what it is. On the barrel, QPQ, as in nitrided, fully, done right, or chrome lined. I don't care. But I'm not going stainless steel here. I'm not going, blued. This is a rifle you're hopefully going to shoot a lot. You're going to use in rough environments. You need to be able to count on. Low profile gas block. I don't want a gas block out on the end that is exposed. I want this under the handguard, and I want it to be industry standard. The actual barrel, honestly, I'm not a heavy barrel guy on these. I think that this should be a lighter barrel. Personally, my rifle of choice, this is kind of what we're describing here. Let me back up. I have a low profile gas block under here, but this is a pencil barrel. This is a Faxon pencil barrel. And the goal is to reduce weight. The goal is not to have full auto capability. The goal is not to be long range precision. The goal is to have something I can carry and get good enough accuracy from. That's it. I want QD slots on the handguard back here. It's nice if it's got one up here. Not essential for me. I use this guy 99% of the time. And then I use this one back on the receiver. I don't use the ones back here. Just about never happens. Ooh. In the debate of whether my Optic is tougher or my desk is tougher, the Optic just won. Just took a chunk out of my desk. And you notice I'm not even checking the Optic because it's fine. If you don't have the QD socket in your end plate for the receiver, don't sweat it, but just keep in mind you may want to add one later. They're cheap, they're easy to do, no big deal. I would not spend extra to get that if I had two comparable rifles I was looking at. Overall, lighter is better, particularly if we're talking handguard and barrel. Every ounce you save forward of your forward of your receiver is worth it. The stock can be a standard mil spec. It can even be a fixed stock. I prefer the adjustable, but if you're in a state that doesn't allow it, don't fake it. Just get a fixed stock. They work great. They're very comfortable. If you want to do a pistol build, just make sure you at least do like a 12-inch barrel. It just makes more sense. Unless you're going with a 300 blackout, going a really short barrel, not practical for this application. Looking at the market, anywhere from like $700 to $1,500 covers this. Don't spend more than that. So to me, I'm calling it $1,000 for the rifle. Good enough. The next thing on the list is, and I'm skipping the Optic for now, is a light. You don't need 1,000 lumens. You want something easy to do on-off with, so I like a tape switch. You want something relatively light. I do a Streamlight Pro Tac. It's not the lightest. It's not the lowest profile. It's cheap and it works. The Inforce Gen 2 stuff, I haven't personally tried it. I've heard it's better than the original. And honestly, the original was not as bad as some people made it out to be. It's a cool idea. It works. It's nice and low profile. It's relatively lightweight. But I would do Gen 2. The Streamlight is $100, $110, I think, at Primary Arms. Works great. I've been using it not on this rifle, but on my main AR actually, since I built it. So my suppressed 300 blackout has had one of those Streamlights on it since day one. I don't even know how many thousands of rounds I've got through it, and how many times I've smacked that thing into barriers and pillars at the range, and I mean it just, I didn't take, let's put this way, I didn't even take it off when I moved across the country, and that rifle went in a soft case right at the front of the trailer, so it was banging into the trailer every time I went over a bump and all that. It's fine. It also doesn't eat batteries. I wish it was a AA light, but that's pretty uncommon for the output you want, because you don't want 100 lumens. You want 400 or 500 or 600. I think the Streamlight's like 700. It's plenty. Because indoors, you don't want 1,000 lumens. You will blind yourself with 1,000. even that Streamlight is probably too much for really indoors, because if you're near a wall and you hit it, you can blind yourself, or at least, daze your eyes so that you can't identify the target, which was the whole point of the light. So my estimate, 100 to 300 bucks. If you have the option, something relatively easy to take on and off, which is why I mentioned the Inforce, because there's no tape switch to deal with. My setup, I can't easily take it off the rifle. So that upper has a role, and if I want something without the light, I put a different upper on it. So for an optic, my go-to, no surprise, right there. Primary arms, I don't know if that's ever focused, GLX 2X. So that's the gold line, 2X, ACSS reticle. Mine is the 5.56 one. I think that is the best go-to optic. Honestly, I think they should rename it the AR-GP Optic Supreme, because you've got to think long and hard about what you're doing with an AR where that's not the right optic. Price, performance, flexibility, durability, battery life, it just works. Keep in mind, we're not building a pure CQB machine. We're not building a hunting rifle. We're not building a long distance rifle. We're building a one rifle go-to, this is your rifle. Now, you may have other rifles, in which case you may not care about the hunting aspects at all, right? This may be your shit hits the fan rifle. That's your priority. I still think it's the best optic. Hog hunting, most deer hunting, to be honest. Coyotes, raccoons, home invaders. Still my choice. So, other things you could check out. The Vortex Gen 2 UH1, the EOTech, any of the EOTechs, really, any of the current generation EOTechs. The Hollow Suns, particularly the new AEMS unit, or any of their micro dot style ones, particularly the one that has the Primary Arms ACSS reticle. That is exclusive at Primary Arms. You have to go there, I know. Seriously, guys, I'm not actually a Primary Arms employee. Just, they have a lot of cool stuff. Try a bunch. Go to the store. Play with them. Don't be shy about it. Try other people's at the range. This is a personal decision. There is not a really bad option. But I would say look at newer stuff, not old stuff. The optical clarity has vastly improved over the years. And I would take a bright, clear optic with otherwise less than optimal format and design over dark and fuzzy glass, which is why the aim points are not on this list. I have yet to look through an aim point that I was not disappointed in the glass. And 10 years ago, the durability and battery life on that aim point made up for it. The reliability on that aim point made up for it. This isn't 10 years ago. We have other options. Aim point, get your shit together. The world is not a government contract you've got locked down. So don't be shy about spending money on it. Your optic is a critical part of this package. I would spend a little less on the rifle and get a better optic. If you're looking at a $800 and a $1,000 rifle, spend the $800 and put the extra $200 into the optic. Just how I roll, I would do it. If you need to buy a mount for the optic, buy a good one. Don't cheap out. I use LaRue's. They're worth every penny. Pick your poison. But yeah, I definitely support using a QD mount or other similar mount, and I like to have the attachment, the QD mechanism on the outside, away from my body, because I don't want it snagging on my body. My number one complaint with this rifle and this optic, the 2X GLX, this is the body side. So this is against my body when I'm wearing this on a sling, right? Got a giant freaking knob. Come on, really? When you are carrying it on a sling, that knob is hitting things. It's moving against magazines. It's moving against your body. I'd rather not have it. The last on the rifle, attached to the rifle thing is the sling. And no surprise, MS4 2-point mounted on the receiver end plate and the closer spot on the handguard. That's how I roll. I have not found anything cheaper that I thought was in the same ballpark. I have not found anything in the same price range that I thought was in the same ballpark. That sling for this roll is the thing. You can spend more and get a better one, no question. And if Haley Strategic wants to send me one of their new slings, not new, it's been a few years, but I'll be more than happy to feature that on my channel. But it costs roughly twice as much by the time you're done. By the way, if Haley Strategic has seen this for some reason, I would love to review one of your placards, like a D3, D3 CRM or CRX. Just saying. But yeah, the placard, I don't need the whole rig. I'm going to put it on a plate carrier. I haven't tried the QDM version of the MS4. Looks cool. I like the idea. It's more money, and I just have not had a chance to try one. Most likely I will soon, even if it's just a few minutes at work playing around with one when we get one in. If you buy your own QDs, because you buy, like, say, the Haley Strategic or a Blue Force gear that makes you buy your own QDs, don't cheap out. There are good QDs and there are bad QDs. The cheap no-name Chinese imports do not hold up. The metal is not good enough. They will break. They will pop out of your QD socket. They will fail. This is the same as buying a cheap QD adapter if your rifle needs one. Don't do it. Buy a quality brand. They don't have to be expensive, just a quality brand. Because if that part fails, your rifle falls. Usually at a really inconvenient time. Now, all the other stuff. Magazines, a mag pouch, and a case. Pick your magazines. PMags, Lancers, mil-spec, steel, aluminum, I don't care. Make sure they work. Make sure you're happy with them. Get 4 to 6 as a starting point. Minimum of, absolute minimum of 4. I really would do 6, and then however many else you want. Power to you. I'm of the opinion that you should have at least one 20 rounder, and you should have at least one magazine that is legal for hunting in your jurisdiction. Pouches. I like the HSGI tacos. Pick your choice. It really doesn't matter. Pick something quality. Make sure you like it. Try a bunch of things. You will probably have to go through a few iterations of this, but start off with quality stuff, and at least it works, even if it's not your preference. For cases, I'm a soft case guy, but if you are traveling by air, if you are traveling by ATV a lot, hard case with cutout foam is your thing. I use the LaRue's. I've liked them for a long time. I use their covert and their standard soft side bag. They're pretty tough. They work. They've got a lot of padding. I also have used a couple of the Midway ones. They're good. They don't hold up as well as the LaRue, as in, like, I've gone through a couple of them, and I bought the LaRue first. Yeah. But they do work, and they're way less expensive. So I haven't spent as much on Midway brand cases as I have on the one LaRue. So what does this all come out to? Because I haven't gone with the cheapest stuff. I haven't gone with the most expensive. We're trying to do value proposition, right? We're at about $1,800. You can go to $2,000 pretty easily. I kept prices in the middle of if I was going with multiple options on a product, pick the middle price point. And really, that's about right. That's kind of where it's at. Your next step is a bunch of ammo and going to the range. I would go shoot your rifle with M193, and I would put up as much as you can afford. I would go train with it. I would go practice with it. I would go run this rifle until you are 100% confident in what you're doing with it, how you're using it. So once you've got some shooting time in, when you're confident with the rifle, comfortable with the rifle, pick out a defensive ammo. Try a couple, see what your rifle likes. But M193 is not ideal. M855 is not ideal. Even Mark 262 is not ideal. These are military ammos with a particular purpose. They are not self-defense related ammo. They are far from ideal. Now, there are variations on this. If you want to buy premium, police ammo, or tap, things like that, power to you. Usually it just costs more than the hunting ammo. And for our purposes, but my advice is to buy enough of it that you can shoot it on occasion, that you can make sure your rifle is constantly zeroed for it, that you have several magazines loaded with it. You can leave those magazines at home when you go to the range. Those are your go-to magazines when you need this rifle for your life. That's not the ammo you use when you're blasting steel at the range all the time. It gets expensive. So, that is it. Take care, have fun, stay safe, and keep your priorities in mind. Feel free to buy all the toys you want. Definitely not saying don't do it, but make sure you've got your high priority stuff squared away first. So, I'm out of here.